This is the first time that I've been at this event, but I think I'm going to recommend to my fellow teachers in their 21st, 21st, 22nd, 23rd years that they come, because I think you see all the connections. I mean, Mark Stetson's brother. I mean, who knew? I'm downstairs and I meet the brother who I'd always heard of one of my old editors-in-chief for the newspaper. And he reminds me that people used to lock Dick Fayer in the closet. And I had actually forgotten about that, and I thought that was great until I remembered I'm teaching in that room now, and the closet is still there. And what if the word gets around that that was a thing, right? That could start happening to me. But I think one of the best things about this school is just the connections that are everywhere. And generally I just go to young alumni events now, but I'm going to start coming to these because I think this is great. I was very happy to be asked by Isaac to introduce him for two reasons. One, I think it's really great that the school is giving a Distinguished Alumnus Award to someone who does what Isaac does. And second, because I don't think that, or I'm not sure that I would be here if it weren't for Isaac. And I'd just like to tell a quick story or retell a story I told a few years ago at a cum laude event. When I didn't like high school, I did do what you did. My friends and I did actually, during a track practice, run far away from the school, get picked up by another friend, and we did exactly that. We did exactly that thing. But I didn't really like high school, and I didn't really feel as though high school would like me. I had my friends. We had our group, our music group, but I was not part of the popular crowd in high school at all. And I didn't know if I could teach kids this age. I just didn't know if I could do it, if they would like me. I had no idea that it would work. And then I got put on the newspaper, which for some reason, 23 years later, I'm still doing. But I got put on as an assistant advisor to the newspaper at the time, and Isaac and his friends, Lara's here, and were the ones running the paper, and Isaac's stepmom, Ruth, who would be so proud of him today, as she always was the advisor. And so I got to know them, and I was so impressed by their kindness, most of all. They were all bright. They were all the top kids in the school, but it wasn't really that. It was their kindness and their curiosity and their maturity. And because of that, I realized I actually could do this. I actually could stay here, and it would be a great experience. And it has been for all those years. So they were my first. Thank you for that. Now, as I talk about Isaac and what he's done since school, he did everything here that you could do academically, but also something that's not, I think, recognized in the award is Isaac actually was, and I hope still is, quite a musician. And I remember him getting on stage and playing Dave Matthews solo on guitar, and it was, again, it was like, oh, I want to be at this place because I'm going to be hearing kids do that a lot, for a long time. And so when he went to Columbia and I tried to follow his progress, I knew he was on the radio, and so he was doing a blues show, right, on the radio. Now this is also interesting because another one of my editors went to Columbia and got on the radio and ended up doing a bluegrass show. And I could never have predicted, certainly the bluegrass show, maybe the blues show made a little bit more sense. But I don't think he went there to do journalism. I think you could have done anything, and I think at that time you were one of those kids who just could have gone and done anything. And I'm so proud, and again, I know how proud Ruth would be that journalism was the place where you decided to make your mark. So we could read about his whole career, but I think we could summarize it by saying that with the exception of 1 year of Newsweek on Air, your whole career has been in progressive media. 1 year was a few years were at WNYC, and I think we can out the fact that WNYC actually is a progressive radio station. In my attempts to follow Isaac, and I found out that he was on WNYC, and so I started listening a little bit more closely at night, and his name would come on the air. You're from WNYC in New York, this is Isaac-Davy Aronson. And my son was young at the time, and he was about 10, I guess, at the time, and for whatever reason, he hooked on to this idea that I knew you when you were on the radio. And And I told him I was going to tell this story. It's really crazy. Isaac doesn't even know this. At some point, we got a piece of furniture. A little piece of furniture, a thing like you bring into the living room when you want to eat something when you're watching TV, and you can put a plate on it. For whatever reason, my son Max started calling that thing Isaac-Davy Aronson. and to this very day, that is Isaac-Davy Aronson. So when Isaac emailed me, I quickly forwarded the email to Max, and it was just the funny. He couldn't believe that I was going to introduce Isaac here. So Isaac has spent his career in progressive media, and right now he is a segment producer for the Rachel Maddow Show, which obviously is achieving quite a lot. And before that, he was on Air America Radio, which I think is also really cool, because at the time Air America started, some of you may remember, there was no progressive voice on the radio. And so Air America was the first, I think, really progressive voice on the radio. And the fact that we have two sides on the radio now really has a lot to do with that, and the people who started there and the people who continue to do what they do, out of there. Even Al Franken, who of course has had some issues since then. But that was really, that I think has been really something. And to work on the Maddow Show. And he's also won 2 news and documentary Emmy Awards. Outstanding News Discussion and Analysis, and Outstanding Live Interview, both with the Rachel Maddow Show. So Isaac, I'm very proud of you. We're very proud of you. I'm very proud of the school for honoring you, and congratulations.
Peter, thank you so much. That was great, and I'm sorry, I'm going to use my phone because I wrote down a few remarks and then realized that I don't own a printer, which gives you an idea of how often I prepare to give speeches. So thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it, although you didn't bring the piece of furniture. I'm so grateful to be here today, and I'm incredibly humbled by it as well. And I really want to stress that I feel very humbled by this, because this is called the Distinguished Alumni Award, and I will be honest and say I do not feel particularly distinguished, especially with so many distinguished alumni who have come from this school, even just from the class of '98. Our classmate, Liza Tremblay, who was Liza Landis, could not be here tonight because she had to run out and do a catering event on the east end of Long Island with her husband, who run a restaurant and an ice cream factory out there. And I produce a TV show, but she makes ice cream every day and sells it to people every day. She is increasing the amount of happiness on a daily basis in the world. So talk about distinguished. So among that kind of company, I'm really very humbled to be here. I want to thank a couple of people who are here today. Our classmate, Laura Lorenzo, came with me today. I'm so glad to have her here. She and I were one half, along with Liza and our friend Michael Pages, of what Freemy Sagan dubbed the basket full of puppies. And we were just discussing on our way up that you now have these sort of corners all over the school where you have comfy couches and chairs. We were discussing how we didn't have those in our day, but those would have been such a wonderful place for the basket full of puppies to go and lounge and sort of put ourselves. So I'm very jealous of the students who have that now. So Laura, thank you for being here. I also want to recognize my wife, Erica Levy, who's here. If there is one thing that I am 100% confident about saying is distinguished about me, it is convincing this woman to marry me. She actually cut short her own work trip and flew a red-eye home last night to be here today with me, which gives you an idea of how amazing she is. On the very rare occasions when young journalists are foolish enough to ask me for some kind of career advice, I often surprise them by saying that actually I think my best advice to have a great career is to marry or to partner well in your life. And by that I don't mean marrying into money, although if you're going into journalism, that doesn't hurt. And I do, Peter mentioned, and I do want to also acknowledge someone who isn't here, who's my late stepmother, Ruth Bayard Smith. She worked here for many years in the 1990s. She was the advisor to the newspaper. She loved this place and loved being part of my life here, and I loved having her here. And she would just be absolutely thrilled by this as I am. So I want to mention her. It's kind of obvious to say that Dwight-Englewood shaped who I am as a person and what I've done since, because it does that for all of us, because that is what high school does. I will say though that since having my own child, Max, who's 5 and he's going into first grade next year, I find myself thinking about my school experience a lot more. And I think about what I got from my education and my school experience and from my teachers that I want, that I appreciate so much and that I want him to have. And in his education, that what I want him to get from us as parents. And I realize how much of what I learned from my teachers at this school about how to learn and how to think is such a part of who I am, and it gives teachers this level of immortality that very few people get to achieve because they become part of all of us and then part of our children and so on down through the generations. The thing that I will say about the most useful things that I got from being a student here is that I learned that whatever it is that needs to get done will get done. And in my current job, we have a show that goes on live at 9 p.m. every night, and that you can't mess with that. The cameras go on at 9 o'clock and it starts. And I'm surrounded by a lot of people who are running around anxiously, and one of the things that they often say to me is you seem so calm while all this is going on. How are you so calm when we're trying to race and get this show on the air? And I say, well, the camera's going to go on at 9 o'clock and there's going to be a show. And we're going to have a show, we're going to do a show. And we're going to do it, and we always do it. We do it every night, we're going to do it tonight, and it's going to be, we're going to do it. And that was something that I learned here, that whatever it was, whatever the project was, whatever the homework was, whatever the show was that we had to put on, it was going to happen, and we were going to do it, and we always did. And learning that about approaching the world that way has made my career what it is. So because I have so much gratitude and esteem for this place and for the people who run it and for the people who teach it and for my fellow students, it just means a great, great deal to me to be recognized in this way today. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So, if you pause me just a little bit, we're going to do about a quick change round. The distinguished alumni are now going to go.